everybody, I'm Alex, and I'm one of the science kids. Well, I exist, and I can hear birds around me, the grass is green, and you are a person. Or a camera. Now, I know all these things because of my brain. Heck, I even know that because of my brain. And I even know that because of my brain. And I even know that because of my brain. And I even know that because of my brain. And I even know that. But I always wondered, how exactly does the brain do all this stuff? Then one day, I heard about neurons. Neurons are basically tiny wires that send information to each other in the brain. After doing a bit of research, I learned a lot more about neurons. Basically, neurons communicate using electrical signals and create those electrical signals using ions. Wait. No way! The brain is a circuit. What's a circuit? A circuit is a series of components in which electricity can flow. And that's exactly what the brain is, a series of components where electricity can pass through it. But where does that electricity come from? Let us begin our journey to the brain. This is a neuron. Like other cells, it has DNA, mitochondria, ribosomes, blah blah blah, moving on. All that stuff is in the part of the neuron called the soma. The branches on the left of the neuron are called dendrites. Those get electrical signals from other neurons. This long part of the neuron is called the axon. It is covered in stuff called myelin to keep the electrical signals going. The end of the neuron is called the axon terminal. Well, what do all these parts do though? The axon is where the fun stuff happens. On the outside and the inside of axon, there are ions, mainly sodium, potassium, calcium, and chlorine. BTW, an ion is just a charged particle. Ions, mainly sodium and potassium, flow in and out of the axon through channels. This is a process called the sodium-potassium pump. 3 sodiums are pumped out for every 2 potassiums pumped in. Wait, sodium? Potassium? Those have the same charge, but 3 sodiums for 2 potassiums? That means there's going to be a charge difference. Wait, a charge difference is called voltage. And where there is voltage, there is a current. That is where the electricity comes from. But what happens next? Well, there is a ton of fancy stuff that happens during the process, but let's just skip that. Once the electricity travels down the neuron even more, it reaches the axon terminal, where a bunch of stuff happens, but it leads up to some chemicals leaving the neurons. These chemicals are called neurotransmitters. There are many types of neurotransmitters. Some you may have heard of, some not. A neurotransmitter you might have heard of is adrenaline. Getting that adrenaline rush? That means that adrenaline is flowing through your brain. Another neurotransmitter you may have heard of is dopamine. Dopamine is a neurotransmitter every time you feel happy. Like every time you eat a chocolate cake, every time you see a supervillain die, so on. Anyway, once the neurotransmitters leave the cells, the other neuron has neurotransmitter receptors. Depending on the neurotransmitter, the other neuron can respond differently, but it will produce a signal, and that is how neurons communicate. In summary, the brain is a circuit with over 100 billion components and 1 quadrillion ways to connect each of those. Don't forget to check out our social media pages on our website shown below. Subscribe to us here, and as always, science is everywhere and in everything. Bye!